Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me again on the small business interview series that I've been working on. And actually, today we're talking with Dusty Brewer. He is a mortgage lender with Elite Financing Group. He just started working with them about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And he actually has a background in ministry. That's mainly been his focus through all of his career. But now he's kind of transitioned and he's in the mortgage industry. So
Mhm.
even though this is not his business per se, this is, I think, applicable in the sense of, I'm a realtor, he's a mortgage lender. Like we have a lot of things to talk about. But mostly, I wanted to introduce the world to him and just say, Dusty, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. As you were talking, I almost did like a raise the roof, and I
Oh,
thought, my kids would be so embarrassed by that. But yes, no, I'm glad to be here, and it is. It's been a fun transition, and so I know we'll get into that. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited to chat with you today, and appreciate your friendship and all that you've done in this industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you can go ahead and tell us, like
Hmm.
you, I know you're a young man, but you did spend a good stretch of your career in ministry, like in the Christian church, and then you made this transition. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and what was the defining moment that got you to switch over?
Yeah, yeah, happy to do that.
Mhm.
So yeah, lots of years. I I would like to be younger than I am. I'm not. But no, lots of years in youth ministry, student ministry, both
Mhm.
in the church and parachurch organization, and I love it, loved it. It was such a good experience,
Mhm.
and in so many ways, that was, my kids grew up in that, our family, that was kind of who we were for many, many years. And so
Yeah.
yeah, youth pastor, served at a church in the Austin area for 14 years, another
Okay.
church in the Dallas area before that, and
Mhm.
and then most recently Young Life Ministry in
Right.
Georgetown. And
Mhm.
so yeah, it was so good. And so really the transition wasn't away from something. Um, it was more of just, as I was kind of sensing the lead, of the Lord, of
Mhm.
what does the next chapter look like. And
Right.
and so I had a friend that's been in this industry a long time.
Mhm.
Actually, one of the owners at Elite Financing Group.
Okay.
I had reached out and just talking with him through that. And I actually have always loved the mortgage industry. Just
Okay.
even just from hobbies, it was just fun to. I could be on Zillow or Realtor.com every day just looking at things. It's just that's fun. It's just fun. I'm a budgeter. I'm a number guy. I went
Okay.
to school originally to be an accountant, and
Okay.
um, I
So
didn't end up
yeah.
I didn't end up going that route, but I
Right.
I love numbers and I love people.
Yeah.
And so this has been like a good combination of those things where,
Mm.
I can still serve, I can still help
Right.
people, walk with
Mhm.
people through seasons of their life where they're in transition, and
Mhm.
be a part of that. And so in a way, it's a weird way to say, but a lender pastor, I want to
Yeah.
still help people and serve people, and
Yeah.
I get to do that in a unique way in
Mhm.
this new industry. So
Yeah.
no major defining moment. I wouldn't change a thing about my ministry
Mhm.
history and background. I love the churches that I've been a part of and the ministry I've been a part of, and the
Yeah.
people. I have so many great relationships that still are just so valuable to me. So
Yeah.
love all of that, and in the same way, very excited about what does serving in this new way look like. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. So I hear you saying it's not really a change. It's just
mhm,
perhaps a shift in focus. I mean, if you were a youth pastor and Young Life is
mhm,
also
mhm,
sort of youth focused,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and then now you kind of get to help people as they go into adulthood or are adults and like
Mhm.
still pastoring, like you said. I think that it's fantastic, way to put it, and I think it's a transition that makes a lot of sense. Really, especially if you're a numbers person, because mortgage, real estate, all of it, it's all relationships. It's all about, helping people get from, one place to another to cultivate their home, their livelihood, and to really put down roots
Mhm.
for, for families and for, their youth or, if
Right.
they don't have kids, just to give them stability to be, in a good, solid uh, home position. So I
Yeah.
like that. I like the way that that you describe that as a lender pastor. We should have put that by your name,
Maybe so.
lender pastor.
No, I had a friend that was a lender in the industry.
Yeah.
Uh, Before I jumped in, I just had coffee with her. Hey, tell me more about this. And
Hmm.
it really was, in this, I know in this industry, I feel a need for just honest,
Yeah.
character, helping
Hmm.
people, establish trust in, what you're doing and how you're leading them and guiding.
Hmm.
Um, because the way I see this is this isn't about what's best for me. I want to provide for my family, of course, but
Right.
um, I want what's best for the client, what's
Yeah.
best for the family. Um, and that takes precedence over what's best for me. So it's kind of, helping to guide. And so
Hmm.
I do want to, be a help and a resource in those
Yeah.
kind of transition seasons for them.
I think that's why we've had good conversations before, because that's exactly. I'm not a pastor, clearly, but I definitely come from that same
Mhm.
place that it's the mortgage industry, that the information that's out there. I mean, goodness knows we get a lot of different types of things on the news. Who do you turn to? Like that's where a lot of people find themselves, is like it's so confusing. It's so stressful too. Buying a home is a huge
Mhm.
thing, and it's more important to be honest, straightforward, and just try to help your people that you're whether you're working with them or not. I think, being a resource for information not only pays off for your family down the road, but it helps other people, whether they decide to work with you or not. That's what I'm hearing, and that's the
Oh
way
yeah.
I approach my work as well. Yeah, so that's what would you say, considering the fact that, I was just talking about how like mortgage industry, like
Mhm.
media is can be so overwhelming. What would you say about the state of the mortgage industry right
Yeah.
now? What does that feel like to you?
Yeah. I was going to finish your statement, like how it feels so negative.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
we're kind of bombarded with,
Yeah.
so much media that is, the sky is falling.
Yeah.
And, maybe this is my perspective is always, I'm an optimist by
Mhm.
nature. And so I look at situations, I'm like, okay, what's, what's the positive here? What can we take away from this?
Yeah.
So yes, I agree. There is a lot of, um, concern and caution maybe regarding the current state of the
Yeah.
mortgage industry, whether, home prices and rates and things like that. Um, I would say I like where we are today. I mean, if you take, a year and a half ago where, you know, people were paying
Mhm.
100,000 over asking price and
Yeah.
20 or 30 offers on a home, um, that had its own challenges. Even though the rates were lower, that
Mhm.
was really challenging. And you take maybe a
Yeah.
first time home buyer, they almost had no shot uh,
Yeah.
to get in.
Absolutely.
And so big time challenge, at that time, even though rates were better. Today, we've seen home prices come down, and even though
Mhm.
rates are up, from a year ago, home prices have come down. To me, that feels like there's more opportunity, and we're seeing a lot more, especially for first time home buyers, those who are just kind of getting their feet under them, trying to get into a home.
Mhm.
And so I see opportunity there. And then even looking ahead, I follow, just some people in the industry that I would call experts that
Yeah.
have been doing this a long, long time. And, I think trying to project out, we can't foresee the future, but
Mhm.
looking ahead, I do see, stabilizing, rates and some improvement even over the course of the rest of this year into the summer and
Yeah.
in the fall and
Mhm.
certainly into next year. So
Yeah.
to me, I think um, there is there's a lot of potential even right now, whereas even in 6 months, let's say rates are better. To me, um, the competition only increases at that point, and so
Yeah.
today is a day that you know buyers can get in
Yeah.
and then consider refinancing
Exactly.
down the road,
Mhm.
they're able to get into the home they want and then get into the better rate they want
Mhm.
a little bit down the road. So I feel really good about today and even
Yeah.
better about tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of it's part of the process is helping to inform,
Mhm.
um,
Yep.
cautious and understandably, like you said, it's such a big decision, a big purchase. And
Yeah.
so we would never, take that for granted or minimize that.
Right.
But yeah, I do think a lot of opportunity today.
Yeah, I agree. And just to add to that, I mean, I think rates are, hovering sort of between 6 and 7%, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken,
Mhm.
in most loan products out there. And my first house that I bought was in, what was it, 2003, and I think I was at 7.5%. Now, granted, the price of the home was a lot
Yeah,
less.
sure.
That was
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Mhm.
But within a few years, after I bought the house is when the interest rate started going down a little bit, like to 5, or I think it was 5.75. I refinanced at that point.
Mhm.
And then, I had actually one of the situations where I refinanced my loan so that my payments were about the same, but the length of my loan was shorter. So that's one of the interesting things you can do with refinancing. There are a lot of great ways to
Mhm.
for clients to get themselves into a home, in a budget, and be able to kind of work with you as a lender, not only
Yeah.
getting into the home in the first place, but then also down the road, maintaining that relationship with you as a lender. I think, and like with myself as a realtor, like being a resource for information is, and having that continuity and knowing you can rely on that person and come back to them, I think is really important as well. And then I was going to add one thing. I know prices, a lot of people ask me, well, prices are home prices are going down. And I think it's just, I like to use the word stabilize personally, just
I like that.
because
Yep.
just because the prices are not going down when you consider that people a year and a half ago were having to throw $100,000 at a house
Yeah.
just to get it. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's like maybe it seems like they're going down because they're not so overinflated, at least in our area, which is the Central
Mhm.
Texas Austin market. Um, but yeah, especially as a lender, when you're not having to factor in like, oh, all that cash that that client had is
Mhm.
now going straight to that potential appraisal gap that might happen.
Mhm.
Um, if anyone watching does not know what that means, please contact me or Dusty because we can help you understand what that
Yep.
means. But I wanted to ask you, like when it comes to, like you said, first time home buyers,
Mhm.
you've also got, veterans who were not able to purchase a home, unfortunately, because they've got the best loan product out there, as far as to their benefit, but a lot of sellers were hesitant to work with them. Does EMG work with all different types of loans, or what kind of company is EMG? I think there's some unique things about them.
Yeah, no. So yeah, elite financing group. So we do really a little bit of everything. So correspondent lender, and so we work with
Okay.
a number of investors, which allows us to go and find the right product, the right
Mm,
program, and the price and rate and all that for each particular borrower. And so, so you mentioned VA. So right, a veteran, we would go and find, okay, what's the best program that we can find, or the best rate with specific investor for that VA loan.
mm,
And same, with, um, take like we mentioned, first time home buyer, lots of programs that are, established to help them get there, because they're coming in without the equity of a
right.
home that they've sold. And so
Yeah.
there's down payment assistance
Mhm.
programs that we can talk about that have really a really good opportunity to help and assist, first time home buyer.
Yeah.
Um, but whether it's an
Yeah.
investor coming in, they're wanting to, buy an investment property, or someone's looking to buy a second home,
Mhm.
um, or a an I-10 is a loan that's a
Oh,
foreign
okay.
national that
Oh,
they're
good
trying
to
to
know.
find a place here in Texas.
So
Their
you do
program.
work with
Mhm,
I-10
mhm,
loans,
mhm.
ITIN.
Right, ITIN. And
That's great.
so
Not everyone
really,
does. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I've really been impressed with being at EFG, is just the fact that um, my mindset is really almost never no. If I'm
Yeah.
talking to someone, it's like, you know what, let's go find the path.
Yeah.
Um, and I love
That's
that,
great.
because I think,
Yeah.
like you said, it is stressful. It can be stressful. And, there's a number of people that maybe they're needing to work on their credit, and
Mhm.
they have had some obstacles to overcome. Again, I look at it like, you know what, there's a way for everyone. Let's go find it. For some, it
Yeah.
might take longer, if they're
Sure.
building up credit or they're working on things, it may take some longer. Maybe they're putting some money away, they're saving. But
Mhm.
whatever the case, like, let's find the way. And
Yeah.
that's generally my mindset. And so I like about EFG is that there is, um, you know, a lot of options for us to consider from a program standpoint, and
Mhm.
and rates, and again, trying to find, okay, what's the best fit. It's a lot of problem solving, which is pretty
Yeah.
fun. But
Mhm.
um, I say that I don't want to minimize, because I know, when it's a problem that a family is going through, I want to, carefully and respectfully walk through that with them. But
Yeah.
I just feel a lot of confidence that we can find a solution along the way. So that's been a fun part of the job.
It sounds like you have a lot of support at
Hmm.
EFG.
Hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, great team. And that's another thing that's been so helpful. I mentioned Josh Bibler. He's the owner. Um, Longtime friend, and it, he just respect him a lot. But then from the processing team to the closing department, and
Good.
the underwriters that we work with, the account executives, it really is such a solid team, that we can, again, just walk with families and individuals through the process. And I like to think, remove as much of the stress as we can and make it as smooth as we
Yeah.
can. But
Yeah.
that's part of the process.
Well, let me ask you something about EFG. Is
Mhm.
it a locally based business? Is it based in the Austin area?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so they have multiple branches. So the kind
Okay.
of the main office is in Cedar Park.
Okay.
Um, that's where my office is, in Cedar Park. There's a branch in Dallas, a branch in Austin,
Okay.
and so yeah, so it is local, and that's one thing that is I actually live here in Georgetown, and I love being a local lender. Certainly, we can, I can personally help, and anyone that's buying within the state of Texas, and am thankful for that.
Yeah.
But I like being a local lender where I can, just sit across the table and,
Yeah.
get coffee with someone, and whether it's a client or an agent like you, Sam, and just, again, get to know each other and be a partner in the business, working with clients, answer questions. So that to me is valuable,
Mhm.
that I'm not just someone on the other end of the phone or,
Right.
the computer, but I'm here and,
Yeah.
available for those, especially at the local level, of course. But yeah, so that's where, yeah, Cedar Park, just outside of
Okay.
Austin, is where the office is. Mhm.
So does that mean your underwriters are there and your processors are there in-house?
Processors are in-house,
Mhm.
closing is all in-house, underwriters. So I mentioned the investors. So we work with, again, a number of,
Okay.
uh, I say investors, think of it as other lenders, other banks where we're working together. And
Mhm.
so each one would have their account executive that we're partnering with and working with, and underwriters in that same way. So the way I see it, as opposed to, maybe the file comes in and we're working and we just pass it off and we never see it again.
Yeah.
Uh, we're kind of in it with this family kind of
Mm.
throughout,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and let's say there are questions that the family might have where we
Mhm.
can say, hey, Mr. Underwriter, what do you think about this scenario? Can you give me some input on this scenario? I just did that like an hour ago.
Okay.
There was a question that I wanted to get an underwriter's input. So, hey, give me some clarity on this specific issue. And the underwriter did, and I was able to follow up with, the potential borrower.
Mhm.
But I like that we have those relationships where
Yeah.
it's again, to me, we're all in this together to
Mhm.
help the families we're working with. And
Yeah.
I
Well, I
appreciate
have to say, go ahead.
I'd say I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good, I think. After being a realtor for 11 years, I've seen many different scenarios,
Sure.
and
I'm sure.
yeah, and a lot of things do, a lot of the success or lack of success of the process for a home purchase does really hinge a lot on the lender
Mm,
when there's financing involved.
mhm,
And one of some of the challenges, the most challenging situations I've had, have been working with large banks.
mm,
I know, like, I bank at Chase,
mhm,
so it's pretty normal to think, well, maybe I should go through Chase for my financing purchase a home. Um, all due respect to those large banks and their mortgage departments, they do have a lot of hardworking people there, but a lot of times it does get handed off to someone's desk, and then it's just ends up being literally a file on someone's, under hundreds of other folders.
mm,
And you know, the best scenarios that I have seen have been with local lenders. Or whether it's a mortgage broker or an actual direct lender, just having, even if you do everything on the phone,
mm,
with your client,
mhm.
you still are there and able to really take action and, and help. And, the communication that can fall through when you as a client are like one of hundreds as opposed to one of 100, for example, like in a smaller, more local
Mhm.
organization. So yeah, I have definitely my list of recommendations when people ask me for a lender. I always have a list, and they're all local. Even if they're not 100% based in the Austin area, at least they have a local presence, a
Right.
local person you can go talk to if you need to
Mhm.
and get on the phone.
And I
Yeah.
and I agree with that. I wouldn't say, I mean, I wasn't going to say, don't go to this lender or that lender, because there
Yeah.
are fantastic lenders out there. But you're
Yes,
right. The local
absolutely.
lender definitely has the opportunity to kind of, massage and work with the file kind of throughout. And
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
as things need to, be work through an issue here or there, they can do that. And
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thankful for our team and feel very confident in them, and that helps, make my job easier when
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you
for
are
sure.
relying on multiple people doing their role and their
Yeah.
job, and
Mhm.
feel very, very good with our team, and so
Mm.
yeah, thankful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's all important because we are all, as much as it is stressful to purchase a house, whether it's your first or your 10th, it still can be very stressful, and having a full team. And by the way, mortgage lenders and realtors work closely together. I don't need to know my clients' finances. I really don't. I need
Hmm.
to know that they're able to purchase a home, that's for sure, but that's where someone like you will come into the picture, because, you're gonna be the one that's really figuring out whether this can happen and how. And, it's just, we're all a team. We're a real estate team behind the scenes. There's so much that goes on, but, your realtor and your lender, you're gonna be your primary two people that you, as a home buyer, need to communicate with very clearly.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for, I mean, even just this friendship, that
Mm,
because you're right, it is to me a partnership,
mhm.
both working together for the benefit of, the client, and
Yeah.
uh, it makes so much difference when there's, trust, even between,
Mm.
these partners. And so
Right. Mhm. Yeah.
absolutely. And yeah, I love that we can, yeah, team up and help families get where they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time together. I was wondering, do you have like an ideal client that you prefer to work with? I mean, not to exclude anybody, but what are you looking for in a client?
No, I mean, I guess my answer to that would be, because we are able to help so many, with whatever their needs are. I will
Mhm.
just highlight, I love helping the first time home buyer.
Mhm.
Just because in many ways, like I said, before, it has been a challenge for them. And so let's say they don't have a lot of upfront funds to help, put down for a home.
Yeah.
There's always options to consider,
Mhm.
whether it's down payment assistance programs, where, for closing costs, maybe the seller is willing to offer some
Yeah.
concession. And another reason, I didn't say this earlier, but I think why today is better than even a year ago, is that we are seeing more
Yeah.
sellers, give some concessions.
Yeah.
And so that's been helpful to buyers.
Yeah.
And so for a first time home buyer, there are opportunities. And so helping them to find it, is it's rewarding,
Yeah.
because again, you're building, relationships, and
Mhm.
you're almost, again, maybe that's my pastor hat, I'm putting on, where it's, I want to see them flourish,
Yeah.
and um,
Absolutely. Mhm.
in the youth ministry world, year after year, I saw students come in and they're graduating, and what a joy to just see them go and live their lives wherever
Yeah.
wherever that leads them.
Mhm.
And so in a similar way, seeing, families maybe get into that first home, and
Mhm.
the joy of that,
Yeah.
it's rewarding, and
Yeah.
I really do love it.
Yeah. I totally get it. Well, if anyone is interested in talking to Dusty, by all means, wherever you're seeing this video, I'll include his contact information in the comments or somewhere in the post, just so that you have that if you want to reach out to him. And I thank you so much, Dusty. I really appreciate you being here and joining me. I don't know if you get to be interviewed a lot, but here,
Not a lot. No, not a lot, but I do appreciate it. And again, I'm very thankful for you, Sam, and yeah, all the work that you do. And so thanks for the opportunity today. And yeah, if I
absolutely.
can be uh, an assistance to anyone, or serve anyone, happy to do that.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you everyone for joining and watching the video. We'll see you again next week. I do have a new guest next week on Wednesday, Dr. Seema Desai. She's a life coach, and I look forward to seeing whoever wants to watch next week. All right, bye.